Hey you, welcome to the GreyTalks Podcast. Talks about grey thinking, social skills, communication, personal development and team coaching. Because in a world that is black and white, we can all use some grey. My name is Lisette from Putten and I will be having these talks with you. I'm a social skills teacher and coach and I will be sharing my thoughts, knowledge and practical tips to create your own greatness. So stay tuned and enjoy this brand new episode. Here we go. Welcome to this introductory episode of the GreyTalks Podcast. I'm so excited that it's finally happening. Finally, I am able to actually start this podcast and having these talks with you. This episode is going to be about what the GreyTalks Podcast is going to be about, which topics we're going to talk about, and what you can expect, and also just a little introduction of me, of my company, and what I do. So, first off, let me introduce myself properly. My name is Lisette van Putten, and I'm a social skills teacher and coach, and I am the founder and the creator of Think Great, which is my company in which I provide coaching and teaching. I coach individuals and teams, and I teach several social skills, soft skills, different topics within social science, which is also what these Grey Talks are going to be about. So they're going to be about some coaching, some tips, some tricks, certain theories, certain methods, and all from this foundation of grey thinking. Grey thinking is consciously open-minded approaching people and situations. It's a concept that I created, which I believe is the foundation of learning anything that's new, and it creates a greater understanding of yourself and others. So consciously open-minded approaching people and situations will be something that you will hear a lot. So even if you're like, I won't remember that, I think in every episode I will I will actually mention the definition of grey thinking. And I created this concept because I was a little frustrated and irritated by the fact that people, like, the world was or was becoming was already black and white. And I thought I either stay frustrated or I am going to create something to help people learn more on different perspectives and understanding each other better. So I chose the last one. And I do need to add a disclaimer when it comes to grey thinking. And I think it's very important because it sounds as if black and white thinking is a bad thing. But I always say you need black and white to create grey. So it's not a bad thing to have an opinion, have a perspective, believe in something. I think that is what black and white thinking is. That's just having your own ideas and thoughts. And grey thinking is the next step. So it's not the opposite, it's the next step where you are aware of different perspectives as well. We're going to get into this in the next episode where I'm going to explain everything about grey thinking. So I will explain it in a different podcast for sure. But I wanted to share a little bit about my concept. These talks that I'm going to have, I do want to interact with you. So I am asking you to comment, ask questions, maybe like write me up if you have any suggestions on topics that you want me to discuss. A little disclaimer, I am aware that I am only one person, so I will definitely talk about different perspectives and share my own perspective, but I know that like within grey thinking, the concept is consciously open-minded approaching people and situations. So yes, it's about understanding each other better. And I will be sharing my perspectives, my thoughts, but I also want to share and have the conversation with you. So do comment and react to my episodes, so I will be able to also engage with that. So that's a request for you. Please um, do that so that we can have these talks like together. Um, Let me check, because I don't want to have like this really, really, really long introductory episode. So, but the length of my episodes, like my podcast episodes, I don't want to keep talking and talking, because I don't believe that that will be beneficial for me or you to listen to that. But I do want to be like clear, and I want to share content. And I think it is safe to say that my episodes will be around 20 to 30, 35, maybe 40 minutes, depending on the topic. So that is something you can expect. I do wish to also include interviews, maybe when you know a little bit more about what gray thinking is. There might be people that want to interact with me and talk about certain topics with this gray thinking method concept in the back of our minds. So definitely looking into that, adding interviews to my podcast. But for now, I will share what my concept is about, how I came to it, what I am doing. As I said, certain tips, tricks, methods when it comes to coaching on different topics. One of the main topics that I do coach people in is perfectionism. So I know a lot about that. We will definitely have a conversation, a great talk about perfectionism. And what else I'm going to do? I will review or discuss certain books that helped me gain the knowledge and the theories that I am using. But some of them will be in Dutch, so I will be translating a little bit. But yeah, so books, certain topics. I am looking into interviews. I will definitely also discuss certain situations that I might have had at my workplace or with family and friends, or certain conversations. I will share that as well. And one of the things that I'm adding to every episode is the gray trigger and the gray tip. The gray trigger is actually more of a black and white trigger, but as I'm doing the whole gray talks, gray team, gray thinker, gray trigger, it's I will share a trigger that I have when it comes to black and white thinking. So I will share one of the situations that I had in the past week, or just something that I came across, and I will share what triggers me into black and white thinking. So that would be one of the frustrations, irritations, annoyances that I come across, and I will share them with you. And I will add a gray tip to it, like how to deal with that, or what I will try in how to be conscious, to be aware of the trigger and actually also change that a little bit. So, for example, one of the great triggers that I have is when people assume things. So when they just assume that they are aware of what you think, what you want to do, what you plan on doing, what you're about to say, and don't really listen to what it is that you're sharing or that you're saying. And I mean, of course, assumptions and first impressions and those things are also the way we perceive the world, and we get a lot of information and we have to process it. So we do categorize information that we come across, and that leads to assumptions. So everybody does it. Everybody makes assumptions. It's okay to assume things. However, it's not okay if you hold on to that assumptions and you don't check it. So my great tip is also to always check your assumptions, because it might not be true, and you might be surprised on how people actually are or think, or what their plans are. So I think it's a great way to start a conversation is when you're curious about whether or not your assumption is right. So check it, ask questions. I think that's really important. So, yes, my great trigger, when people assume things, this will also be a big part of the Grey Talks. Definitely, we will talk about it more and more. But my first great tip is to always ask questions to check the assumptions that you have. So, I think that's it for the first episode, just a quick introduction. We are going to have great talks. We're going to discuss different topics when it comes to social science, social skills, coaching methods and tips, the topics that I teach in, like communication, sociology, group dynamics, those types of things. I will address certain books that I'm reading and that I want to share the content with you as well. I'm looking into different interviews, like interview possibilities, and I will always share a great trigger and a great tip. So I think that's it. I'm very excited. Next episode, we're going to go all the way really deep into what great thinking is, how you do it, what you need. So, yeah, more on that in my next episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of Great Talks. Please let me know what you think, ask me anything, and spread greatness by sharing these talks with everyone you think needs a little bit more grey. Don't forget to be great until our next Great Talk.